Hi, this is Stacia, and I'm going to share a training game that I played on chess.com. Um, so I feel like I haven't played one of these in a while because I've been moving, and that's really eaten into my study time, but that's okay. So I'm planning on playing a couple tonight at least, and here's the first one. Um, so I'm currently rated, or at least before this game, I was rated 1699. Yeah, so the last training game I had, I was rated 1700 and I got a draw against someone slightly lower rated. So it's so unfortunate that that one point took me under 1700. So need to fight and keep fighting and until I get back over with ease, right? So I drew a player rated 1725. So this time a draw would be enough, but of course, I don't want to draw. I want to do my best and try to win. So let's have a look at this game. My opponent opened with d4, and I played d5. This is kind of a new move for me. I'll turn off the engine for now. Let's see. Yeah, so in the past, I've been playing knight to f6. And, well, sometimes I run into trouble, or it's not even that. It's more like if they play c4 in this position, my move is c5, and I go into like a Banco Gambit. It's not bad. I think it's fine. But I have been looking at switching my openings here based on my chess trainer. I am Calvin Blocker wants me to play d5, and if c4, which was played in the game, he wants me to go Queen's Gambit accepted with pawn takes c4. And I do know that John Bartholomew and some others call this opening underrated. It does look weird, you know. It's like okay, we're going to capture, you know, on move 2 and also give up our center control because this pawn is in the center currently. So it looks sort of unnatural to me, but it's a good opening. So I did take, and here I think White has a few different moves. I'll use the opening book now because I just want to learn this opening and you guys can do that with me. I know that knight f3 is the main move. E4 is a move. I mean, that's sort of the point of Queen's Gambit, is that you distract the pawn and then put a pawn on e4. But they can also just play e3, which is the way I used to play this as White about 5 years ago, or less than that even. And my opponent did play e3, which is the way I play it. So the computer calls this the old variation. And now we should note that you can't really hang on to this pawn. Like, I had so many people play like this against me. And I would go a4. And if they go here, you take, and they can't take back because of the pin. So that would lose. So they generally would try this one instead. But if you take and take, there's actually queen f3 winning on the spot because the rook is trapped. So the best move is to block with the knight, but that's a free knight. And it kind of goes like this, and this position can be tricky, but, you know, make no mistake, it's winning for White. All right, so I know not to play b5 and do that from the old days, but so I played knight to f6, which I figured has to be the normal move, but I really don't know any QGA theory, so that's part of the why we're going to examine that a little bit. Okay, so knight to f6. I expected knight to f3, but he took back. Yeah, I guess that's also what I would have played. Yeah, I would have played that. I think if you try to hold on to the pawn after knight f3, it's a little bit trickier. Like, you might be able to pull this off now. I'm not sure. I'll ask the engine. I just am curious. Um, yeah, it doesn't look like it loses on the spot like before. It'll be tricky. So like white can play a4 and we can play b4. Interesting. Yeah, and I've definitely seen variations where black plays on the queen side like that with a pass pawn. Okay, but in the game, bishop takes. I'll turn the engine off. And I played e6 here. I think that's a reasonable move. So we'll see how I did. E6 is the main move. Okay, and I'll tell you really quickly what I know to be the plan in the Queen's Gambit Accepted, and let's see if I did this right, because there might be little nuances I don't know about. So I know that we want to play a6 when the bishop's here, so that we can go b5 with tempo, and then station this bishop on b7. Notice this bishop's not getting out this way. We played e6, shutting it in. So this a6 b5 plan is pretty standard, but on top of that, we want to play c5. We want to do that before we commit our knight so that the knight can come to c6 behind the pawn. I mean, this is the dream scenario for us if we can get all these things in. And then usually it's just bishop e7 and castles kingside. So, and as far as middle game plans, I really have no idea. I would assume rook c8 and play down the file or something. But I also know we can play c5 and we can threaten to go into endings. So let's see how I did. Okay, knight to f3 makes a lot of sense. Yeah, and I guess I played a6. So I could go c5 immediately. Yeah, not knowing that this was the move for sure, makes me more nervous because this is a pawn break and it could open the position, but I think I have seen this before. Like white can't really take because then they're going into a worse ending, I'm pretty sure. So I'll just turn on the engine just so we learn this part. Yeah, that is correct. And then we recapture the pawn from here. And I guess black's slightly better in this ending. So c5. And if they play the normal move, castles, then we go a6. And if they take here, I think this ending is slightly better for them than the last one, but still equal. So let's just find out real quick. I could take, I don't like drawing the rook to the center like this, but this is theory. We're going to capture this pawn, and now we're going to castle in one move. And it's not like white's queenside is all that developed either. So I think this is supposed to be equal. Well, the opening book looks like it's highly drawish, but white wins way more than black does. And the analysis is slight edge for white. So I guess white can go into this ending if they want. I wonder if I have to take. I do. I think I have to take because if I don't, they can take my queen. Maybe I can try this move. No. It says this is much better for white now because of this. Oh, it's because this bishop is recapturing the pawn, so I can't really do that. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So it turns out I should play c5, and I probably will next time, although a6 is fine. I kind of like this way a little bit better even. Okay, so I would expect him to castle here, or either that or play like bishop b3 just to avoid the tempo. And here he played knight to c3. That does seem to prepare the move e4. So now I thought I should go b5 or c5, and I wasn't sure which one. And I went b5. Okay, both appear to be book moves. This one scores better for black. So I would expect bishop b3, but he went d3. This does stop any endgames now if I play c5 because the bishop's in the way. Okay, and I thought now I should probably go bishop e7 or c5, and I wasn't sure which one. Yeah, it looks like those are the top two engine moves, so maybe it doesn't matter. I went bishop b7 just because I didn't want any like knight e5, queen f3 stuff, but I doubt it's a threat anyway. So I just went here. Plus it kind of ties down the queen because maybe I'll take on f3 and wreck the king side. All right, and he castled. Okay, we're still in theory here. And I went c5. So, okay, so far I'm pretty happy with how I played the opening. It seems like I've only looked at this a couple times and it was a while ago, but it seems like I remembered it. Maybe my chess instincts are helping out. Because, you know, I should just develop in castle. So for me, normally I'd want to just play bishop e7 and castle as soon as possible, but I think the point is we want to play c5 before we commit the dark square bishop. That way if he does take, we trade queens, but then we take back with one move instead of two moves. So, all right, he went queen c2. So this appears to be the first move out of book. Yeah, normally they go queen e2. Yeah, and this looks much more familiar to me. All right, so I'm going to close the opening book. I think this went fairly well. Or actually, let's look at two more moves in, just so I know what happens. So we could play knight bd7 or knight c6. I would definitely want to play knight c6 if I can. The computer loves this. Okay, so I wasn't aware of that. And then it says rook d1. And then we go queen b8 or queen c7. Stationing the queen on an open file, very suspicious. So yeah, I'm not sure how this is really supposed to go, but now it's saying bishop d2, surprising. And I am curious here, like after queen e2, if we go c4, computer hates this move. Yeah, and I'm trying to see. What white is going to do about this. It's not so clear to me. It says, oh, they're going to go e4. Yeah, so if we play on the flank, they can play in the center. Yeah, and they should do that, definitely. Okay, so let's get back to the game. Sorry about that. But I'm pretty satisfied with the analysis of the opening, so we'll continue. After queen to c2, I played c4. Yeah, so I guess in light of e4, this is probably not a good move. But then again, the bishop comes to e2 in this line. Yeah, I'm actually curious. It might be better here. I'm going to look at what the engine wants. So it says I should go bishop takes f3 and just do this. Yeah, that's reasonable. I might get an attack on that king. And if not, at least there's double f pawns. It might be white that uses the g file though. So, but it pretty much says this is kind of equalish, like slight edge for black. I'm not really anxious to give up my light square bishop. He's quite good there. Not sure if I'd play that move, but yeah, I went for this move. Okay. So I'm happy to see that this move's good here. And black has a slight edge. Don't think I have to play it, but I was just thinking I wanted to play bishop e7. Oops. And like I was talking about before, if he then takes, I waste a tempo. So I thought, why not save the tempo by doing this? Gains a tempo on his bishop and destroys the battery. And I thought, if b3, like trying to break down the pawn chain, I can always take it. And the queen remains on the open c file, and I'll get rook c8. So I guess my assessment of this was good. So bishop e2 is probably forced. Okay, bishop e7. Wow, computer hates bishop e7, and I have no idea why. Oh, it's because of the move a4. Breaking down the pawn chain. Oh, yeah. This point is attacked once already. Huh. Okay, well, that's something I'll be watching for in the future. So instead I should go knight to c6. So if knight c6, a4, how is this better? Oh, because I go b4. And then after the knight moves, it says knight b1 is best. Wow. Then I go knight a5. Well, these are new plans to me. So knight a5 guards this once. I mean, he could still take, couldn't he? But I guess this way he has to give up the bishop pair. And now I can go rook c8. Nice. Yeah, it's amazing to me that black can do this with the bishop, you know, on f8 and the king on e8. But it really comes down to a question. I'm not fully developed, but can white make use of this? And the engine is saying no, but I do feel that this is kind of risky. Like, I mean, they could mess with me in this position, I think. Instead of a4, playing the center or open it up. Okay. So, bishop to e7. He did play b3. So, I thought I would take it. The computer likes b4 here. I didn't even consider this move. Because like I said, I just want to get castled. I don't really know this opening, so... And after knight a4, yeah, we can probably go c3. Now that is a strong pawn. Like a pawn like that is worth a piece almost, you know? Because white might have to sacrifice a piece for it. So since that's not true yet, and it is blockaded, it's still worth at least 2 pawns, I would say. So that would be quite an advantage to have. So, all right, this b4 move will be something I keep in mind for the future. Okay, I'm going to turn the engine back off, and let's get into this. Okay, I think this is fine. I think if he takes with a queen, then I might have like knight d5, because if knight takes, bishop takes d5, hitting the queen. I just think the threat of bishop d5 is kind of annoying. And if he takes with a pawn, it does open up his rook to put pressure here. But I think my bishop does a nice job defending. And like my bishop's just fine on this diagonal. He did take with a pawn. And finally I got to castle. So I think, you know, here I'm pretty happy with my position. White still has a piece on the back row, and I have my knight on the back row. But it looks like I can bring the knight to the best square, the c6 square, pretty easily. So I was liking my position and I thought I was probably at least equal here. Computer says equal. Okay. It's not every day I get stuff right, so I'm happy so far. All right, he played bishop b2, developing his last bishop. I developed my knight. And now it's time for the middle game plan. And he went with this move, knight to e4. So for some reason, this move just looks wrong to me. So let's think about this for a minute and then we'll ask the computer. So moving the knight opens up the c file a little bit, and I have rook c8 coming. So the queen is sitting here on the c file. So yeah, it's just really obvious as the game goes on that he shouldn't go queen c2, he should go queen e2. This is where the queen belongs. So knight e4. I guess he didn't know what to do with this knight. Now I think he should try to play the move e4 if he can. So how could he orchestrate that? Yeah, maybe he was trying to go knight g3. Maybe that was the point. Okay. So what should white do? Let's take a guess. I think white should bring the rooks to the center or something, like maybe rook d1, maybe rook c1. Can e4 be played right now? I guess not. It might drop a pawn. I don't know. e4 takes, then rook d1. Maybe he can play e4. All right, well, let's see what the computer wants. Wow. Okay, I didn't expect this. The computer likes knight to e4. Says it's the best move. Very interesting. I did not expect that. Okay, I went rook to c8. That looks natural. Like I said, I'm not worried about this pawn. The bishop is just fine. And now it wants him to go knight c5, but he, I think, takes my knight. I was kind of happy to see this in a way. So maybe his argument is that my bishop is blocked. But I don't know. This ties his queen down to the bishop, and his queen has to get off the c file. So I didn't mind this. I guess queen e4 was the idea. But yeah, this just, for some reason, when he played this move, I'm like, tactics. I think tactics are happening. I mean, he's trying to pin my knight, but I have the move knight a5. That would attack the queen, but I think the queen could just move. But then I saw a nice little pawn grab. So, if you're not seeing it, you can pause your video if you want. But I played the move knight takes d4. I think this is the best move. In fact, I think it wins. It at least wins a pawn, let's put it that way. I do not think he can take the bishop. He might have to go queen d3. If he takes the bishop, I take this bishop with check, and then I unleash a discovery on this undefended bishop. So that should win material. And that's actually what happened. He took this. And I took here, check, here, grab the bishop. Now, these pieces are so loose, I wasn't entirely sure I'll get to keep them. But how do you not go for this, right? So let's go back to this for a second. Wow, knight takes d4 is the best move, and it's winning, the computer says. So I think he probably has to go, I think the best move might be queen d3, just guarding the bishop. Wow, it's giving queen takes d4, which is insane. I'll take that with the bishop. What's wrong with this move? Oh, if here, this is still undefended. I can take the knight now. Right? I can do this. And he cannot defend that bishop. Like, if he goes here, then I take this one for free. So, wow, knight takes d4. It does just win. It's pretty much what I thought during the game. Can't say I saw all these lines. All right. So, yay. I'm playing like a 1700. All right. But, as you know, converting these games, especially rapid game, is not always the easiest. So after rook to a2, he's attacking my bishop. And if I move my bishop, he takes my knight. So I want to keep the material. So what's the best way? I went with the move queen to f6. This connects my rooks and defends the bishop. So I thought this must be okay. I also want to play rook c2. Or maybe even rook c1. So I am curious what the computer will say here. It does like rook c2. So here I thought, he could try this, but maybe, wow, it says bishop c1. What? Bishop c1, interference. Okay, I did not see this move. The rook is no longer defending the first rank, so we're threatening queen d1, and that's going to be checkmate, because even if the knight blocks here, we already have a knight there, so that would be checkmate. So, wow, that's a pretty move. Didn't see that one. Okay, but queen to f6, how bad could it be? He took my pawn. I thought, you know, I'm up material. If you want to take pawns, go for it. And then I played, well, I was thinking about rook c2, but I went with this move, rook c1. It's a little more forcing. I'm threatening checkmate, because even if, again, if the knight blocks, I have rook g1 checkmate. He did take, I should take with the knight. Now the knight is attacking the rook, and now the knight will, I think, get out. Okay, he went down here, attacking my pawn. So I went rook d8. I thought this was a nice move because, again, I'm threatening stuff on the back row. He took the pawn. Now, I don't think this is checkmate yet, because he can block with the knight, and I don't have knight e2 in yet, and the queen's actually guarding e2. So, yeah, he did block. I think that's the only move. It is. Okay, and here I really want to play queen takes f2, but that would be a horrible blunder. I'd get mated, right? So, got to deal with the back rank. Yeah, it was really hard to know what move would be the right one. I went with g6 because I've got such a hold on this diagonal, so I figured this must be good. It is the top engine move. And he checked me. I went queen g3, but I think he just has no good moves. Yeah, he has to stop queen takes f2, and he also has to stop knight e2. Not sure how you do that. Computer wants to play f4. Yeah, that would do it. That stops both those threats. I mean, this still doesn't look good though, does it? I guess here, what would I have done? Probably queen d8. It just looks safe. Yeah, I could play like that if I want. Just stay coordinated. Up so much material, right? So I'll show the end of the game. Yeah, queen g3, because what else? But yeah, I think here, knight e2 is probably better. I thought about knight e2. I thought maybe he could play like this. And it won't be... oh, I could still take the queen here. I didn't realize that for some reason. Yeah, if he tries to move the queen, it's checkmate. So yeah, so he can't play this because then I take here. For some reason I was seeing this. I could still take the queen. It's funny how you don't calculate quite as well when like you're excited or you know you're winning or whatever. But I saw this. This is good enough. Check. I'm going to win the queen this way, and actually my opponent resigned here, so wow. I'm pretty happy with the Queen's Gambit accepted. I have to admit, when I started the game and it was a Queen's Gambit, I was like, oh no, I don't know this opening. I'm probably gonna lose and go under 1700, like far under. But instead I beat a 1700 with it, even not knowing the opening. So I'm up to 1710. And let's do my favorite thing and do a quick review of the highlights of the game. I think at some point I might take these like recaps and put them all in like one video to rewatch or something. I don't know, it might be fun, right? Definitely be good for my chess. So we had a Queen's Gambit accepted. I played a6 instead of c5, but I kind of like it. Okay, I went b5, and I could have gone c5 much earlier if I wanted to, but this is fine. And then because of queen c2, I could go c4. So I do want to remember that if the queen's on e2, I shouldn't go c4 because of e4 stuff. But the way this game went, this is fine. And my plan was to take that pawn, but next time I should go b4 and create the monster pawn on c3. It's definitely the right way to play the position. But I'm still okay. So I thought knight e4 might not be the best plan, but it actually is. Computer likes this move. It even says taking is fine. Yeah, and then my opponent made a big blunder out of nowhere. I guess he's trying to be tricky. Queen e4. I mean, placing the queen in front of the pawn. I guess he's thinking the queen will come to the king side and he can make some threats over here. Yeah, I guess it's a reasonable plan, but unfortunately it just doesn't work. The computer wants to play queen to d2 here, or queen to b1, getting off the c file. So my opponent probably thought this was a more active way to get off the c file, but it doesn't work tactically. So I found this move, knight takes d4. And it doesn't just win a pawn, it wins the game. He cannot take the bishop. I take here with check, unleashing a discovered attack on the b2 bishop. And then it was a matter of trying not to lose the material back. But I think this went well. I like rook c1. It's just a forcing move. Like, I mean, if I can make forcing moves up material, then I'm definitely going to win. That's kind of what happened here, because the knight took back with tempo on the rook. Rook d8 threatens a check on the back rank. Yeah, he's grabbing pawns, but he doesn't really have better. I mean, so now I'm threatening knight e2 and also queen takes f2. And okay, I should have played knight e2 here. That's probably my only regret, but it doesn't really matter. This wins. So I hope you enjoyed the game. I'll likely be playing another one in a minute here. And I'll be back with more chess. All right, thank you. Bye.